This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, along with Sean Anderson.
Hey there.
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And I love this. I love today because I'm not alone in my home studio talking to a camera. I actually have friends. And friends to talk about sports and things
Co-workers.
with.
Prove it.
Co-workers.
Yeah.
We're not friends.
Acquaintances. Yeah.
Colleagues.
Friends is strong.
But welcome into the Primetime Podcast right here on MVP, talking about draft, college sports, kind of everything in those range. And
While
today's
also watching boxing.
And watching boxing. And today's a very special day, guys.
That's just you.
We begin we kind of dipped our toe into the pool a little bit ago with a top 10. But today marks the day. Everyone will remember it is what? Today is the 6th? Is
7th.
My
It's the 7th of
computer's not
December.
telling me the date. It's only telling me the day.
Okay.
The 7th of December, 2019, closing out a decade. But today was the day where we started our journey to the 2020 NBA draft. We are going to have our full NBA mock pick 1 all the way through pick 30. And if you didn't check out the way too early that we did, that was just the top 10, yes, things are changing. Things are moving around. It's a new thumbnail. We're in different seats. But also we have another big change, guys. We are shaking up the order in the lottery. We're using Tankathon. We're hitting that button a couple times. We're shaking things up. I'm going to tell you about that in 2 seconds. But before I do, patreon.com/MostValPodcast. If you want to help support us, go check us out down there. And also twitch.tv/MostValPodcast. Starting January 1st, all of our podcasts will be live on Twitch. So go and follow us. Check that out. But like I was saying, we're shaking it up. We're hitting Tankathon, and this is how I'm doing it.
And people have requested this.
People have requested, but this is how I'm doing it to lay down the rules so everyone knows. Everyone doesn't think it's rigged, even though they will. I go on Tankathon, I close my eyes, or I blindfold myself, and then I just hit the button 10 times. I do 10 spins of the wheel, and then boom, that's our order. Because the first time I did it, the Bulls were 1, and I went, people would be upset if the Bulls were 1 in our first time of doing this. But if you think it's rigged, welcome to the real NBA draft, because it is rigged. But here is our lottery
Slide
order.
it in there.
Question, should I reveal the lottery 14-1 or 1-14?
Dealer's choice.
What do you think,
1-14.
1-14. So our lottery for today will be Wizards at 1, the Bulls are at 2, the Hawks stay at 3, they didn't move, and then the Warriors will be at 4. The order after that, Knicks at 5, Cavs at 6, the Pelicans at 7, Celtics now get the Grizzly pick at 8, Hornets at 9, Kings at 10, Blazers at 11, Pistons at 12, Spurs at 13, and the Thunder at 14.
And we're not using today's odds. We did this yesterday.
Yeah, so we're recording on Saturday because this is going to go up not immediately. Every game as of Friday's conclusion. So once Friday was over, the Blazer-Laker game was the last game before these rankings were set into order.
So this isn't perfect order. This isn't perfect, lottery. Just because it is the first one, we did want to change it up just so we weren't giving you the same exact order every single time. Because if we like it was last year or 2 years ago, we kept having the Suns at number 1 every single time, and it's like, well, we've talked about this already. DeAndre Ayton or Luka Doncic is going there. There was no changes, so at least this time we can get different teams in different spots and what could happen.
And how many times have we had the Wizards at number 1?
Yeah.
Which will be very interesting.
So we're so far out away from this. We're having some fun with it, and we're still going to do our live lotto where we still have the ping pong balls and everything.
I was thinking
you guys
today.
love that.
I was thinking today in the shower.
Yeah.
Do we go next level for that?
Yeah.
Do we actually have Sean dressed up like Adam Silver? Not Adam Silver. It's who's the deputy commissioner?
Mark
Tatum. Have you dressed up like Mark Tatum in a suit where it's like you actually roll it out and we have big fucking envelopes that Sean opens and reveals the team.
I think it could be a production.
And then Dave and I act like the representatives.
I think it could be a production.
That seems stupid.
I
just want to do a mock draft.
It's a literal.
I want to do my mock draft with my stupid ping pong balls.
No,
and just have them
build on
shuffling
You'd
over
still
here.
be rolling the ping pong balls, but you'd have the envelope.
Let's get into the mock draft, huh?
Well, before we do,
What else is there to talk about?
What if they're new to a podcast? What if they've never seen a mock draft from us before?
How do we not talk about this already?
Because I didn't get to it yet.
Jesus Christ.
So if you're new to an MVP mock draft, we split it up into 3 segments on YouTube, all full on podcast services. 1 through 10, 11 through 20, 21 through 30.
And usually the intros aren't this fucking long.
Well, it's the first. You got to go big for the first one. Sean, we'll start with you for the first time. Let's hope it's better than the way too early. But we'll start with you. Give us your top 10.
Starting off at number 1, I got the Wizards taking James Wiseman, center out of Memphis. Then number 2, I have the Chicago Bulls taking LaMelo Ball, guard from the NBL. Then 3, I have the Atlanta Hawks taking Anthony Edwards, guard out of Georgia. Then at 4, I have the Warriors taking Denny Avdia, forward from overseas. Where's he playing right
EuroLeague.
now? EuroLeague, right. I keep questioning myself on that.
So it was the Israeli Premier League, now Europe.
Yeah. Then at 5, Knicks taking Tyrese Maxey, guard out of Kentucky. Then at 6, Cavs taking Precious Achiuwa, forward from Memphis. Then at 7, Pelicans taking Nico Mannion, guard out of Arizona. Then at 8, Celtics via the Grizzlies, getting Killian Hayes, a guard in the EuroLeague. Then at 9, the Hornets taking Cole Anthony, guard out of UNC. And then at number 10, from the NBL, the Sacramento Kings taking RJ Hampton, again from the NBL.
All right.
Dave, take it away.
At my number 1, I've got the Wizards taking LaMelo Ball. At 2, the Bulls are going to be taking Anthony Edwards. 3, the Hawks will be taking James Wiseman. 4, I've got the Warriors taking RJ Hampton. 5, I've got the Knicks going Cole Anthony. 6, I've got the Cavs going Jaden McDaniels. 7, I've got the Pelicans taking Nico Mannion. At 8, I've got the Celtics taking Killian Hayes. At 9, I've got the Hornets taking Onyeka Okongwu, who that's going to kill me all season. And at 9, I've got the Kings taking Denny Avdia. Or no, that is, yeah, and then 10... I can't count. I've lost count.
Yeah, Denny Avdia was 10.
Yeah,
good job.
That is 10. I made it to 10.
Good job.
Dave's like, I want to give an extra.
The Big
11.
O threw you off.
Big O threw me off.
Yeah, so if you out through the next 8 mock drafts, if you hear Big O, that's Dave referring to Onyeka Okongwu from USC.
Well, and then to get into mine, the top 5, I should just put Dave's graphic up and just like come up with one graphic. But
Samesies.
It's literally the same top 5. Wizards going with LaMelo Ball. You've got the Bulls taking Anthony Edwards out of Georgia. Hawks get James Wiseman out of Memphis. The Warriors go with RJ Hampton from the NBL. Cole Anthony to the Knicks at 5 from UNC. Then we get some switches. The Cavs at 6 go with Big O, Okongwu out of USC. Then the Pelicans go Nico Mannion, guard out of Arizona. Celtics via the Grizzlies going Denny Avdia, forward from EuroLeague. Then Tyrese Maxey from Kentucky going to the Hornets at 9. And then the Kings at 10 take Josh Green, the guard from Arizona. Let's start at the top and go all the way through like we usually do.
Yep.
We'll start with the Wizards. Sean, I want to go to you first. And the reason why is I almost did what you did. I thought James Wiseman, number 1 to the Wizards. And then I looked. I was like, but they have Thomas Bryant. And Thomas Bryant ain't playing that bad. Why did you go with Wiseman over a LaMelo Ball?
Because they have 2 franchise players in John Wall and Bradley Beal. Why the hell would they take another guard, and especially a guard who can't shoot right now? At least a guard that can't shoot to the level of an elite guard that I think they need. I mean, the biggest thing that LaMelo Ball can do, he's a better shooter than his brother, but that's not saying much, but he is a very good creator. He's a very good offensive player. He isn't a bad shooter like his brother is, but he's not a knockdown shooter, and I don't know if he is going to be a good fit. Like, what would you guys have him play, the 3? Like, I don't think that he's that good defensively enough to be playing next to John Wall and Bradley Beal. I think that both of those guys are good offensive players. And then even then, too, what we've seen from Rui Hachimura has been very good so far. So I don't really want to move him out. And then you could say you can play the 4. That's fine. Yeah. But I don't think that LaMelo Ball is that much of a need for this team, where James Wiseman can open up so much space for Bradley Beal and for John Wall that you can have an elite two-man game with Bradley Beal and Wiseman, or with Wall and Wiseman, or you could even set up a crazy 3-man game as well. And Thomas Bryant's been fine, but he's already extended, and you can still bring him off the bench and he could be a killer. I see him very similar, weight and size-wise as Julius Randle, and Julius Randle has always been best off the bench. I don't think you do not take the best player available for a position of need just because you have Thomas Bryant out there. I think James Wiseman is the best fit, and he could possibly make a case that he is the best player. I don't know if he is right now, but I really don't know who is. And if I had to make a case of who was the best player right now in this draft class, it'd be Anthony Edwards, but Anthony Edwards doesn't fit with this team.
Right.
So I like Wiseman. I want to see more of Wiseman, obviously. We only see 3 games of him, but he's got soft hands. He gets set a pick. He's very athletic. I think he'd go well with Bradley Beal and John Wall. Will this change over the next 8 mock drafts? Absolutely. Will the Wizards be taking number 1 overall in the final mock draft in 2020?
We'll see.
I don't know.
Yep.
But I think right now, as of December 7th, I think it wouldn't be a bad pick if they went out and took James Wiseman to pair him with John Wall and Bradley Beal.
With me, the thing is, and the reason why I went LaMelo Ball, and maybe Dave, you went similar, is yes, they have John Wall, but he's going to be healthy. How many times has John Wall been hurt? Like on the court, he is a superstar. He is what this team wants. But if he isn't going to be out there, and you got a guy like LaMelo Ball, which we're seeing what he can do in the NBL right now, the youngest player in the NBL to have a triple-double. You know how much we love triple-doubles in the NBA now. I feel like the Wizards, if they were number 1, it's like, yeah, Wiseman could help us, but if John Wall's not going to be out there, Lonzo Ball could help us more.
Can I counter that?
Yeah, go ahead.
And obviously that was in my mind as well, but just with this, Dave, and I don't know how you feel, he's still signed for 4 more years. So whether you like it or not, whether he's injured or not, he's still on this team. No matter what, you still have to pay him. So I think you have to proceed like he is going to be healthy, because even if he's not, I mean, you know, then you can slide LaMelo Ball into the 1 spot. But I still think that guard-wise, you're set because you do have Bradley Beal that can be a playmaker. And right now they've been able to find Ish Smith and Isaiah Thomas, who have been, you know, fine at the 1. So I don't think, you know, point guard is that much of a need, even if John Wall isn't healthy, because you still have $40 million pretty much, you know, over the next 4 years tied into the point guard position, where at the center position and at that big man position, you could fill it out with Rui Hachimura, Thomas Bryant, and James Wiseman. And if John Wall's healthy, you're set.
See, I don't see Rui ever being able to play the 3, and I think that's why.
No, but even then, like if you want to go with a starting lineup of Wiseman at 5 and at the 4, Rui Hachimura, I think Thomas Bryant could be great off the bench.
Yeah, and that I don't disagree with that. I think that I wouldn't. Again, Wiseman looked so good in his couple of games that it's hard to. It would be hard to pass up on him. I think immediately he is more athletic and he has higher upside than Thomas Bryant. I loved how Thomas Bryant's developed his game, but he's not someone so good that I would pass up on someone like Wiseman. But I look at them and I see the need staring me in the face, and I'm going, they need a 3. They need someone who can play a 3. Go 3-headed monster. Put LaMelo Ball in there at the 3. He's someone who has been continually growing. Like, remember in high school remember in Lithuania how he was like incredibly short. He, you know, was out there chucking from the outside against grown men. Guess what? He's 6'7" now, potentially could be 6'8". Like, that's a dynamic wing now. That's someone who is the future of the NBA. That's what we want. We want the guy who is big, who can ball handle, who can create for himself, who can create for others. He has great court vision. Like, I'm thinking John Wall, Bradley Beal, and then LaMelo Ball at the 3, and I think that is a dynamic team going forward.
And I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying LaMelo Ball is the wrong pick here. I don't think there is a really a wrong pick. I mean, Anthony Edwards position-wise would probably be the worst pick, but talent-wise, he's probably the most talented. So again, I don't think you're wrong there if you're going BPA. But with all of that, like, if we are changing his position, he is big. He is 6'8", 6'9", 6'7". We don't know exactly how tall he is, but he is tall enough to be a wing.
Yep.
Do you have concerns about him adding weight then? Because his brother, LiAngelo, it was a little bit more filled out.
6'8", 6'9", I think, right?
And he was filled out more,
he was.
where Lonzo is still a little bit thinner. So do you have concerns about him? Because he seems a little bit more on the Lonzo side, body-wise. Do you have concerns about that?
No, I mean, he's so young. I'm not worried about him adding muscle as time goes on. I think, you know, his first couple of years in the league, he will still be, you know, incredibly skinny. But I think that as time goes on, muscle will come. He'll be fine and filling himself out. But again, he went to the NBL for a reason, and that was because they have some of the better athletic trainers down there to work with, to pair up with, so he can add muscle mass. Because that's the thing, like, he's been playing against top-level talent available to him, you know, whether it's internationally, whether it's the Big 3, going back to his high school at the end. And I think that that's the one thing, like, you're always worried about in high school. It's just polish your game as much as you can, get the gaudy stats, get the attention. When you come to the NBA, then it's my job 24/7 is to work out, is to be an NBA player. You see that transformation over the first couple of years of players, usually where they're able to add that mass. And I think he's someone who 100% will look different, you know, by June of this year than he did June last year. Like, he's someone who's going to keep building on himself, and I love his work ethic right now. I know there was basically a hit piece on that, I think a year and a half ago. But everything that's come out about the players who played with him, like, I just see him as someone who has incredible talent, who has incredible upside. His court vision is already where you want it to be for an NBA level guard. And I'm just like, look, this is all in the package of someone who can play potentially three positions at the NBA level. I want that. I want someone dynamic. I think Wiseman is a next level big, but I keep coming back to, like, great, another next level big. Like, how are you going to win with the next? Like, I get it. John Wall, Bradley Beal is your tandem on the Wizards.
Well, he's the three. That's the thing. Is Bradley Beal's your one? Then you have at your two, you have John Wall. Then at your three,
options.
Option wise, your big three.
Yeah, if you're building a big three,
I gotcha.
Those are your big three, and then you have a great fourth option. What it seems like in Rui, because I mean, Rui's got a great body. He's already athletic as well.
He's growing,
and even then, Wiseman might be your four if Rui takes that much of a jump. And if that is the case, I think it's a great position for the Warriors.
It would be,
or the Wizards. Sorry,
yeah, it absolutely would be.
The W's.
Yeah, and the thing that, like, to go off of you, Dave, with LaMelo, the thing that I like. I kind of feel like I like him better overseas than I do if he was in college, because one of the big things I think of when you're talking about how when you come to the NBA, it's your job. I kind of think of like Mo Bamba, where he's like coming out after he went from college, even before the draft. He's like, it's nice because I can kind of just feel like this is my job and I can just work on basketball 24/7.
How's that going for him?
No, I know that, but it's like the mindset. And I feel like with him playing in the NBL, he's not, so far I haven't seen stories of that guy where, remember the Sweet 16 birthday party where he had the luxurious car and like he's revving it up and it's like,
who cares?
But
kids gotta be kids.
People do
perception.
though.
It's the front office.
When you're in college.
That's on them. We're trying to look at them as players.
Yeah, but people look into like when you're front office, you also think how this guy is going to fit in the chemistry.
Do you care about that?
I mean, if it's going to mess up the chemistry on my team,
do you think it will?
I'm.
Like, when you were looking at... No, were you looking...
At the time, I didn't think it was a negative.
It doesn't matter. That's exactly what it is. It doesn't matter.
There are scouts out there that would check that off.
Well, then they're fucking idiots and they're boomers.
Okay, boomer.
So, like...
but, like, that's what I feel like him being in the NBL, being a professional before he's a professional, and showing, like, hey, you don't have to worry about me. You don't have to worry about, like, because everything what Lonzo and the big baller brand and what LeVar Ball brought in, negative connotation.
Yep.
He's like, hey, you don't have to worry about that with me. Like, I'm just going to be here to play basketball, and I'm really fucking good at playing basketball. What about the number 2 team, though? The Bulls. Dave, I'll start with you.
Yep.
Bulls fan like myself. Sean had LaMelo. Both you and I had Anthony Edwards. What's your thought process? Because this was a hard one for me. It was easy as best available, but didn't hit a need that we necessarily need.
That's the thing. I'm taking the best player available in this draft, and that right now to me screams Anthony Edwards. He looks like a complete package. He looks like a stone cold killer out there. I love his game, and I think the fit will come with time. Whether Zach LaVine is or isn't the answer, whether we decide to move people down or up in that starting lineup. And I mean, hell, we even see like DeMar DeRozan's playing the 3 for the Spurs. Like, if we get to that point where we're like, fuck it, let's just play our best potential lineup, or even Tomas Satoransky's slid down to the 3.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm concerned about the lack of a 100% playmaker, true point guard for this team. But if we can get Anthony Edwards, I would be thrilled with this draft.
I mean, here's the thing: is the position is a concern for the way this team is currently constructed.
Right.
However, I feel like a rebuild is coming again. I don't think this is going to be, and I know I have 2 Bulls fans here, and I know this might be something that you guys are going to groan at and moan at, but I do think that Zach LaVine being traded is a high likelihood of this year. I think he will be off a team. I don't know what Lauri Markkanen's future here is, and although Kobe White has been very good at being a microwave, very good at getting hot, I don't know what his position is, and I don't know what his exact ceiling is. He could be, and we've continually mocked him as a Lou Williams guy, a guy that can be a microwave off the bench to score you a ton of points. Maybe he's better than that. I don't want to put him in a box, but that is some of the talk that has been out there about Kobe White. Anthony Edwards can be a full-fledged star, and that's why you go out and get him, because right now you don't have a full-fledged star on this team. Zach LaVine isn't going to ever be that type of player. He is never going to be a number 1 on a team. Lauri Markkanen is never going to be a number 1 on a team. Kobe White, I don't think will be a number 1 on a team, but he could be a third option at best. Anthony Edwards can be a number 1 on a team. So for you guys, with LaMelo already being off, I think Anthony Edwards would be a good choice. I even debated it as well, even with LaMelo still there because he's a playmaker. That ended up being my decision, though, because you do need a playmaker out there. I still think Wendell Carter Jr. is going to be a part of this future. I do think Kobe White's going to be a part of this future. I do think you need a playmaker next to those three guys.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teams are built off of the playmaker. You need to have that as your building block. LaMelo Ball is that. That's why I went with him.
Yeah, and LaMelo would be my biggest wet dream. Give me LaMelo Ball on this Bulls team.
But I think what you guys need is a star. And I think if you're debating that, who has a higher star potential, I think it is Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a part of me, a 1% part of me that was like, just take Wiseman. Because technically to me, you could make a case for either Edwards or Wiseman being the next available off the board.
Yeah.
Next best available.
The next best available after LaMelo Ball.
Agreed.
But like, I'm not doing that. We got Lowry. We got Wendell Carter. I'm not creating a logjam there.
Yeah.
And I like Daniel Gafford,
Do you know how you
too.
don't create the logjam?
You just don't draft him.
No, you do. You could not draft him.
You could trade pieces.
You get rid of Lauri Markkanen.
Okay.
Move Carter to the 4, and then have him work on his outside game that he actually is decent at, but they've stopped letting him work on it. He's a decent free throw shooter. Is going down because you're taking away his ability to shoot from the outside more. He's not working at a shot more. They're killing Wendell Carter Jr. You could help him a little bit because we always compared him to Al Horford. Horford's a 4.5. Let him work on his shot. I think that Wiseman could be an option, but again, I think with the way my mock laid out, you need a playmaker or you need a star. That's either Edwards or Ball in my mind.
You mentioned the moaning and groaning. It's like I'm at this point not groaning. Like I don't care if Zach's traded.
Yeah,
like,
I
and
love
that
his
sucks
offense.
because I love Zach.
I said the word that you might need another rebuild. I don't know if you guys are going to moan and groan at that.
A retool. Yeah,
No, you need a rebuild.
That's what Reinsdorf's like.
You need a rebuild.
Yeah, what we need versus what Reinsdorf will let us have is the difference in reality there. But I do think that, if this season, if we continue to struggle as we have early this season, I wouldn't be surprised to see people moved. I mean, at some point, you can't keep going back to the well, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yep.
That is absolutely asinine.
You're talking about the Jim Boylan coaching method, right?
We're
just
playing
going
hard
back
out
to
there.
the well, ramming that head into the wall.
Yeah. So again, I'm not advocating for trades yet. I think you let them play out. But would I be surprised if we struggled this season and we look to shake up our core moving forward? No.
Because if Zach's not getting traded, my best lineup, and this would mean the Bulls wouldn't get a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
Nico Mannion would be my guy for the Bulls because he's a guy that we can have at point guard.
Yep.
He can be our guy who can drive into the lane and either kick out or finish. Kobe at the 2, Zach at the 3. But I mean, with the Bulls, it's just there's no perfect 3 guard or forward where it's like he's our 3. Then
this class,
Abdia's kind of there, but he's kind of slid down.
Yeah.
And really, are the Bulls going to be in a position to get him?
No, this class is absolutely predicated on its guards, and that is it's Wiseman and then guards.
And that's a big thing. Like we'll get to it. We'll get to the Warriors, but the Hawks. This was one where I early on before we did the whole mix up when I just did the order like it was before I remembered we were going to do this because you guys reminded me. I didn't know who to pick for them. Because it was like, with all the point guards that were available, I'm like, they don't need another point guard. They have Trae Young.
Right.
But they could use a 2 guard. Because Herter's the only one that's technically still on contract at the end of the year. Otherwise, Vince
So how'd you have the mock draft laying out that they weren't going to be in a position to take Anthony Edwards?
Because they were, at the time I did it on Thursday, they were outside the top 3. They were 4 or 5.
Because right now they are 3. So
now they are 3, and that's Anthony Edwards would be there. Sean, since you're the odd man out again in the top 5,
it's gonna happen.
It is in the top 5 because Dave and I were.
I mean, you already talked
together.
about it. They need a 2 guard. Kevin Huerter is a very good bench, a 2 guard. He could also slot in the 3 if you're needing.
Yep.
He is a good shooter, but he's not a star. I know when he was first drafted, they had the draft class that they drafted their Steph, their Clay, and their Dre, and
they
now
traded
their
Dre.
their Dre's gone, and their Dre dropped 50 pounds and has been looking better on the actual team with Draymond.
Yeah.
But they do need another player out there to take pressure off of Trae Young. Trae Young has been playing phenomenally this year, and it's been overshadowed by his team not being good. I mean, John Collins being suspended for 25 games has hurt them. The loss of Dwayne Dedmon's hurt them. I don't think this team is fully there yet. Travis Shelnick has made some good moves, but it hasn't panned out to wins yet.
Yeah.
And I think right now you could still see that they were probably better off taking Luka Doncic than Trae Young. It's not a bad trade. I'm not saying that, but I think this team would be in a better position if they did take Luka Doncic over Trae Young. I don't want to get into that.
Yep.
But
agreed.
I think you do need another star on this team. Because even then, Luka's still playing with another star in Kristaps Porzingis. You need another star on this team. Anthony Edwards can be the star, and that's where you put him up there. And you have the ability to take pressure off of Trae Young when Trae Young can get a break, he can go on the bench. Anthony Edwards can still score, but even then, Trae Young is such a good passer. You're going to get Anthony Edwards open looks. You're going to get him open lanes, and those two guys together are going to be a nasty two-guard pair. It's a phenomenal pairing, I think.
The question I want to throw Sean's way before Dave and I give ours is, pretend that your mock is either Dave or mine's.
Okay.
Do you see if that's the situation, if LaMelo's first and the next best available is Anthony Edwards, could you see a situation where the Hawks go, hey, let's try to do the same thing we did with the Mavs with the Bulls? Let's flip. Let's get an Anthony Edwards instead of a James Wiseman. And would that even be smart for the Hawks?
I don't think it would be. I don't like the idea of them giving up more assets. They do have that 19th pick from the Hawks right now that you could trade. Sorry, they do have the 19th pick from the Nets. They are the Hawks. They don't have a pick from the Hawks. They do have that pick from the Nets. But I don't know if I would like to move that because I still think this team needs players and bodies. And this is such a young draft that is deep. Because even the guys that are going late, they're younger players. There's a lot of freshmen that are in this back half of this draft, and I do wonder, you could find a hidden gem in there, is what I'm saying. And I would rather take my shot at the third pick and the 19th pick than moving up and just getting one player in this draft. Anthony Edwards can absolutely be a star, but if you're in that position of where you guys are at, Wiseman makes sense. That also puts in the play of trading John Collins, which you could do. I'm not saying it is a move, but it gives you more options. But still, if you have Wiseman, you have Trae Young, Wiseman, and Collins, but also Collins could probably secure you, another another guard out there
potentially.
So I just wouldn't say no to trading John Collins. I'm just saying if you have Wiseman, that he could possibly take over for the similar role that Collins does play
and
in the pick and roll, add defense.
Yeah.
I think that you could then move Collins and possibly add more to this team. I'm just saying that it creates options.
Yeah.
So picking Wiseman isn't bad. I think also RJ Hampton is in play for them. He is a combo guard. He is a guy that can shoot from the outside. I don't think they're screwed if they don't get Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
They're just better off if they get him.
Yeah, I agree in that rationale. I think Wiseman for me is a no-brainer. This class right now is separated as 1 through 3. And then everybody else. I think RJ is on his way to making that argument, but it's just not there yet. Wiseman for me is a perfect fit. I'm just like, pooh. They John Collins at the 4, Wiseman at the 5, shares them up, 100% locked down. Absolutely no questions asked. Yes, you do still have the options of now you've got Herter, you've got Cam Reddish, and you've got who was their top pick last year? I've already forgotten his name. He's a wing. He's older.
Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter.
DeAndre Hunter. Thank you. So you've got those 3 guys you can cycle through, and Cam Reddish had his best game of the year this week. He had been shooting awful, just outright awful up to that point. It would be interesting to see where he goes. But again, he was a project. He's an upside pick. We've been talking about how it's just a matter of time till he can put it together on the court. So they've got a bunch of wing options they can play with. They can go smaller if they want to move Collins to the 5 and roll out that 3-wing lineup, or they can roll with one of them off the bench. I think Wiseman is an ideal fit and a pairing for John Collins moving forward. So that's, for me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, with this is, for me, Wiseman I did because of that 19th pick, where the question I'll ask you guys is, do we want to, because we're talking about the Hawks, do we just want to mention who we have them taking at that 19th pick? So Sean first, Dave, and then me. Who do you got them taking at 19?
I have him going Scotty Lewis from Florida. I like him as the type of player. Yes, he is younger. Very long wingspan. Does seem like a defensive player. I don't know if there's a perfect fit for them. I think you could also go with a bigger player. Jeremiah Robinson Earl is a very interesting player from Villanova for them. He is a big that can stretch the floor, and that could he would be very similar to Collins, so that would be something I would probably go away from. Vernon Carey could also be a player in their position that they could take, but the three that I would be on the board for them would be Scotty Lewis, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, and Vernon Carey. Those are the top three that I would have for them, but I have them going Scotty Lewis as of now.
Got it. I've got them going Trey Jones, actually. I think adding in an elite defender at the guard position would be huge for this team. I think that, yes, he is a point guard at the college level, but I think that if they need to move him as a secondary next to Trae Young, that's an answer. But it also gives them a backup point guard who can run an offense, which they desperately need. Because
if he decides to come out.
I think he will.
I'm just saying the joke off of last year. Oh, he's going to come. Oh, he didn't come out.
Last year he had struggles up until the tournament, basically, and then his 3-point shooting clicked.
Yeah.
This year you see the work he's put in, and I think that's one of the things is he's improved his game. He's a more complete player, and he's still one of the best defenders at the college level, which is honestly to me the biggest thing that I'm like, finally we can get somebody next to Trae Young who can lock people down, so we don't get abused every time down the court.
And then for me, like Sean mentioned, I have Scotty Lewis too, mainly because I had Wiseman at 3, and really for me it's going to be predicated on what you take at 3, because the big thing that also I think hurts them early in the draft is there's not that one guard. Like, there's not a guard to me where they can match, and I'm going to use the Warriors as an example, their Klay Thompson-like player. The player we can put next to Trae to cover up for his defensive deficiencies, because out of all the guards in the top 10, the one for me that are like, okay, I should say more towards the top 5, would be like Nico Mannion's probably the best defender. It's like RJ still needs to work on his defense. Cole Anthony still has to work on his defense. Like, they're not perfect defenders.
Yeah, I think.
If I'm looking for a 2 guard, it's like I don't want a guy. The thing that Mannion wouldn't be a fit with them is then you got 2 guards that drive to the basket.
Yeah.
And you don't need that.
Right.
One needs to be a spot-up shooter.
So you had Trey Jones available. I don't want to get to it, but
go ahead.
Is there a reason? Are you just lower on him, or you think he can't play off ball at all? Or?
I just was not looking at a point guard. And I think that Trey Jones, the one thing I also loved from last year is his facilitating ability. So then I have, 2 guards that are great facilitators who can shoot from the outside. I mean, that's versatility. You can say, well, one can do the other while one's doing the other, and they can flip. But I just think Trey Jones and Trae Young, the 2 Trays, their games may overlap.
You mean Dos
much.
Trays?
Dos Trays?
Yeah, Dos Trays. Not to be confused with Dos Aggies.
Yep.
Now, how would you confuse them? They're both 2 different words. Not to confuse Dos Equis and Dos Trays, because those 2 things are what?
They both got Dos in the name.
Okay, so I always confuse things with the. any like.
Yep, all the time.
Whatever.
The Bulls, the Hawks.
Yeah, I get them confused because the.
Yeah, man, that pesky.
Anyways, I think at least with the guy that I took, I think Anthony Edwards could slot in at least offensively right next to Trey Jones. They're both a little questionable defensively though. That might be a concern, but.
Yeah,
I mean, Anthony Edwards has the body at least to become a good defender. So so far I haven't loved what I've seen from him, but we've seen 8 games from him.
All right,
it's tough to judge him.
And then the Warriors, and Dave, I'm actually going to go to you first on this one.
Sure.
What do the Warriors do if this happens? If they are right now, it's always been if the Warriors can get them, James Wiseman's the perfect pick.
Yeah,
like that's the trophy for them. Like. Way too early? Did we have them at number 1?
I think so.
No, we had them at 4, and even all 3 of us had them get James Wiseman at 4. This time is different. They're at 4, yet none of us had them get Wiseman. What should the Warriors be thinking if Wiseman's off the board?
I'm loving the idea of a combo guard. Give me RJ Hampton. Give me someone who has shown he has some ability to create. He's pretty good at hunting for rebounds. He's a solid offensive player. And defensively, he's not terrible. I think there's a lot of potential there. And I'd be comfortable, Klay can guard 3s if you need him to. Klay can guard whatever you want him to, really. But, like, having Klay, having RJ, and having Steph as that lineup, I'm not afraid of that. But I think, more than likely, that would be a team that's competing. So you're going to see RJ coming off the bench. And I'd be entirely happy with that. I don't have any good 3s at the top of this draft.
Besides, like, maybe Abdia. But it's like...
He's not played well.
Yeah, and it's
so that's why I'm afraid to go with him, because what I've seen so far...
like you mentioned, he's Cam Reddish syndrome right now off the podcast.
Well, no, I understand why he's so high on, Sean's board. Of course, Sean's got him at 4, and that's fine. But like I dropped him because the play as of late has not been there.
Yeah, and here's the thing is this is the first mock draft, so not only have we not seen a ton of stuff from these guys, well, since we haven't seen a ton of play from these guys, my opinions haven't changed massively on them, but if we did do the thing that we're going to do in segment 2 and segment 3 of guys that will rise, well, the opposite of that was who's going to fall, at least out of the top 10. Denny Avdia is the guy with the massive red flags right now. He is a guy that has just been not performing well in the EuroLeague so far. Hasn't been getting a ton of minutes as well, but
Correct.
I mean they're out there to win in the EuroLeague. They're not just going to play guys.
Exactly.
But that's concerning because that means his talent level isn't up to par to be helping a team win.
He's getting the rub right now on his draft stock from what Luka's doing.
So and Avdia at least. The idea of Avdia seems like to fit with the Warriors.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
He's a guy that can set screens. He's a guy that can pass. He's a guy that I don't love his shot, but also the whole idea of the Warriors is getting open shots. And I think he can hit open shots. So the idea of him, I think, is very good with the Warriors.
Yeah.
But as of right now, this being a 1.0, I think he is a guy that, at least from what I've seen so far, I like the idea of him. The production hasn't been there. And if the production's not there, come 2.0, come 3.0, come 4.0, he will fall. But right now, I think he's probably their best fit stylistically out of all of the prospects, and that's why I slot him there. But he's absolutely a guy that can drop off.
Yeah, I think his under 19 tournament, he played well.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. I liked him a lot.
But in the season, that's the thing is you have to kind of how much are we going to weigh into the limited minutes and the short stints he's had on the court. So it's tough.
Yeah, because for me with RJ, it's the setting screens with Denny is he's also a weird one for me in this one because I had him so high in the way too early.
Yeah,
had him so high. It's is Ricky feeling okay? He had international technically to start the draft. Now I'm back to one international. Here's 2 college in my top 3. He just fell for me. I had him 1, and then as we did the fast break, I was kind of tooling with my mock, and it's okay, he'll fall 1. Okay, I'm gonna change this, and he fell another, and he fell another, and he fell another.
Again, it's I'm looking back at the way too early, and you're looking now. I mean, these things will change so much.
Oh yeah,
the 8.0 will not look like the 1.0
this year either.
Well, I don't think that means anything to this. I mean, you could look at if you take out the top 2 last year, there was probably top 3 last year, and RJ, Zion, and Ja. It probably looks drastically different, our 1.0 to our 8.0. I mean, you look at our way too early. I have Khalil Whitney going 7, and he's not even in my top 30 this mock draft because we didn't see him play at Kentucky. He hasn't been getting time at Kentucky, and he hasn't looked good in the time that he's gotten. So I think that you finally find out what these players will do at an advanced level. And guys like Coach Calipari and guys in the EuroLeague, these coaches, they know what's going to help their team win. And if you're not helping your team win, or at least you're not seen as a guy that can help your team win as of right now in these advanced levels, it's going to bring you down. And that's what I think Denny Avdia is going to be suffering from right now. I think that's what Khalil Whitney is going to be suffering from right now. Thea Maladon even suffering from that a little bit right now as well. And a guy like Killian Hayes has been performing fairly well so far in the EuroLeague, better than what I expected him to, and that's why he took a rise in my mock draft. So it's right now, if you're looking at this 1.0, it's a very early temperature test, and this is not going to.
These are not Bundesliga, by the way. Just got to drop that out there.
Oh, Killian is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad on that. I think there's 3 players in the EuroLeague right now that I think are draft eligible, or at least in the first rounders. And I keep messing up who is who because we don't write because we just got to start writing out EuroLeague instead of international.
Yeah,
that's on us. But yeah. Anyways, final point. Very early temperature tests right now. So if you see a guy you don't like to your team, do not worry. You're probably not going to select him come June.
Yeah, and I mean, we could always go back to 2019 and stuff and see how that's changed for us. But number 5, the Knicks. With me, this is easy because they just need a point guard. Whatever's the best point guard on the board, take it. Whether that be number 1 pick, you get LaMelo Anthony. Whether that's number 2 or LaMelo Ball. Whether that's number 2 and you get LaMelo Ball if someone takes Wiseman first. Whether that's a Cole Anthony, whether that's a Nico Mannion later on. To me, this team needs a point guard. They need and when I say a point guard, they need one that can say, I am going to be the scorer along with RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett can't do it alone.
Yeah.
He's also a guy who can't run the offense. So for me, Cole Anthony is interesting because he is a definite aggressive scorer. Put the team on my back. I'm driving to the basket. You need to win a game. I'm going to go ahead and do it for you. And I don't care. Like, if I have to be the leading scorer to win this game, I'm going to do it. And you need those guys on this team that are going to play hard, play aggressive, and go for the win offensively. And that's what I think Cole Anthony kind of feels like. I feel like as we go on right now, I feel like Cole Anthony's getting kind of the Kobe White treatment of all we thought of Kobe White was, like, towards the end of the draft was his scoring ability. And even when talking about it now, it's like his scoring ability, you know, how he's going to get better. Cole Anthony to me is the same thing, where right now all we're talking about is how great of a scorer he is.
I think we're talking about that is mainly because he's the only scorer on this UNC team. I mean, you talk about Kobe White.
Or last year they had
playing
Cam
next
Johnson
to
too.
He was Cam Johnson, Luke May, who was a senior.
Good point.
I mean, they were playing in Nasir Little as well. They lost their top
well-rounded team.
They lost their top 4 scorers. So I mean, Cole Anthony is on a different level when it comes to scoring than Kobe White, because Kobe White wasn't taking 17 shots a game at UNC. So I mean, Cole Anthony is suffering a little bit from his team being bad, but also he hasn't been efficient. And there are worries out there for me, mainly him driving to the bucket. He has not been good around the rim. He has not been good finishing. I worry about his size as well around the rim. Does he have the wingspan to finish? Does he have the wingspan to avoid blocks? Does he have enough moves as well to score around the bucket, and if it's and at least take pressure off of it, where, you know, what's your floater game like? What's your game around the bucket, and what's your 3 levels pretty much? Are you able to hit efficient from the outside? Are you going to be good, you know, floaters in the mid range, and then are you going to be good closing out at the rim? And so far, I have not seen him be good at closing out of the rim, and that's, you know, outside of even his teammates as well. So I have worries about Cole Anthony. I don't look of him as just a scorer. I do think he does have point guard potential. Kobe White, I didn't see that at all. He was their go-to guy when they needed a bucket, and he didn't really look to run an offense. I think Cole Anthony right now realizes that his team isn't that good, and I think that he knows that he is not only the best scorer on this team, he is the only guy that can really truly handle the ball. So he's in a difficult position to get a gauge on him so far through 8 or 9 games. But I think that he does have, you know, great athleticism. He does have, you know, great speed. He does have good handles. I just worry about his actual size.
Yeah, I see those doubts, and they're all completely valid. The one thing that the comp between the 2 years of this UNC team I would bring up is the fact that the outside shooting. You know, we talk about Cam Johnson was literally the best, one of the best three-point shooters in college basketball last year.
That's what got him drafted by the Suns.
Well, Luke May, again, someone who could stretch forward. They had amazing spacing last year. You're able to use Kobe White. He was lightning quick going through that lane, driving to the hoop. And I think Cole Anthony suffers from the fact that the spacing is not there yet. The later college transfers that came into this team, they're not the same level. So I think his gameplay is definitely him forcing things to happen, and you can see it from his turnovers as well. It's just the shot selection. The one nice thing is he's got that, like, hey, I've got no memory of, like, if the last shot went bad, I'm not going to shy away from the next one. He has confidence in himself and in his game. He's coming off, he just had, like, one of the worst games he's played. 4-15 from the field, 0 of 7 from 2. I mean, it's just disappointing against Ohio State, but guess what? He's going to still take 15 shots a game. Like, that's who he is. So I think right now he's playing the role of you win, you live or die by Cole Anthony on that UNC team, and he knows it, and he's putting it on his shoulders.
Yeah, and I think right now Cole Anthony's more of a finished product than I have going to the Knicks than Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, but I love Maxey.
What I've seen from him so far is I think this is going to be a guy that come mock draft number 8, he's going to be in all of our top 5s. I think that he's going to be a guy that is going to shoot up boards, because right now you have him, Dave, at 15.
Yep.
Ricky, you have him at 9. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick this year.
I love the kid.
He seems so composed offensively. He seems so fluid offensively. He's got such great patience on the offensive floor when handling the ball. He's got a great floater game as well. He's a decent shooter from the outside. I really love his offensive game. And the biggest concern for me so far came in that Michigan State game, and it was what he was doing defensively against Cassius Winston. But it doesn't seem like he's not trying out there, it just seems like he's young. And that's the biggest thing that is a concern for me, but that's also something that can grow out of, because my biggest concern is that he was going up against a great senior guard in Cassius Winston, who got torched a little bit offensively or defensively. So I think this is a guy that can really grow throughout his freshman year. And come year 3 of his NBA career, I don't think we'll be thinking about that performance defensively. And he's gotten a little bit better, but he's not great defensively yet. But I think that he can be a guy that by the end of this year, we think of him as a guy that has more potential than Cole Anthony because of his size, because of his 3-level game of being able to shoot from the outside, his mid-range game, and his at the bucket game. He's got great speed. He's got great composure. I really like what I've seen from Tyrese Maxey so far, and I know that some Knicks fans might be upset because Cole Anthony was such a highly rated prospect. But
he's a hometown kid.
He's a hometown kid, Greg Anthony's son. I mean, I understand people who have Cole Anthony. I understand why you guys put him there. I have more concerns about him, though, and I think Tyrese Maxey, I think it's only up from here for the kid. So I think Tyrese Maxey is the best guard available for you guys.
Well, and the thing about him, too, and just my mock and how it played out, I originally had him at 6. And the reason why is we did the fast break, and how I mentioned how I retooled my mock during that during that podcast. Yeah. We talked about K-Love. And this will kind of segue us into the Cavs, where I originally had Maxey there because I'm like, you know what? Technically, originally I had Denny. Then I was like, you know what? Yeah, they could need a 2, but Maxey is better available than Denny. So I slid Denny down. Then I'm looking at it and I'm going, you know what? We're talking about K-Love getting traded. Tristan Thompson might not be back next year. This team could use a big. And that's where I looked at Big O, Okongwu, and that's why I had him there. Then I had Maxey go to the Pelicans because I'm like, you know what? They don't need a point guard. Then I got thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Lonzo, he had that one good game, but Lonzo's been streaky. Nico Mannion, take him. He's a little bit better. And it's like, that's how Maxey fell all the way to 9 right now.
But I don't.
Originally at 6.
I think that at the end of the year, you will have him above Cole Anthony and Nico Mannion. Okay. So when it comes to guards,
so you'll think he'll be number 5 no matter what.
I think he'll be the. Okay. I think he has a shot of jumping LaMelo too. Okay. But that's something that I could be wrong about, and we won't even talk about. We'll figure it out.
If we did a mock after that Michigan State game, top 3 pick, because he was phenomenal in that Michigan State game to start the season. Minus the defense, but offensively he was amazing.
But to talk about the Cavs, you were talking about K-Love and Tristan Thompson.
Because do you think that the K-Love trade will affect how they pick here?
No.
Okay.
I think if they keep K-Love and Tristan Thompson, they still shouldn't take a guard. They have 2 guards that are the same fucking player in Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. Yes, it was. And we talked about it being a mistake, and it's still a goddamn mistake. They shouldn't have done it, and they did it. And they shouldn't go out then and take a Cole Anthony who's available on my board. They shouldn't take a Nico Mannion who's on my board. They shouldn't go out and take a Theo Maledon who's on my board. For the fuck's sake, do not take a guard. Take a forward. I don't care if you reach. That was the one thing.
Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah, I do not care if you trade Kevin Love or not. I do not care if you bring back Tristan Thompson or not. For the love of God, do not take a guard. That's why I have him going Precious. Precious is a little bit of a reach here, but I do think he's got a good body. I do think that he's very interesting. If you went Jaden McDaniels, I think that makes sense. I think if you went Isaiah Stewart, it makes sense. I think even Obi Toppin, he might be too much of a reach there, but he's playing phenomenally as well. Just fucking take a guard. I mean, even
don't take a guard.
Don't take a guard.
Take a forward. Even RJ Hampton, I'm a little bit concerned about because he is more of a 2-3 than he is a 3-4 or just a straight up 3. But even then, I'd be fine with RJ Hampton, but please take someone above 6'7".
Well, the thing I'm glad you got Precious in the top 10 is because Nick, our Memphis Grizzly fan,
our Memphis guy,
he did say in one of our other videos in the comment section, one of you guys better have Precious in the top 10.
No.
Dave and I did not, so at least Nick can be mad at both Dave and I. Sean had Precious in the top 10.
And I understand people's concerns about him. I don't think he's got a full fleshed out offensive game yet. He's not able to stretch the floor, and his free throw shooting does not reflect that at all. But I do like his body. I do like his aggressiveness, and I do like his athletic ability, and that's shown on the defensive end. He is able to make a play and make a factor on that defensive end. And if they do keep Kevin Love, and we talked about it in the fast break, how difficult it's going to be moving his contract. And if they have too high of a value on him, I don't think that they'll be moving him. If they don't move him, they have 3 guys who are good offensively. I mean, Colin Sexton has the ability to put up 20 a night. Darius Garland has the ability to put up 20 a night. Kevin Love putting up 17 right now. I don't think they need another offensive guy. Get some, true athleticism, size, and speed on your wing, and a guy that might be able to be a decent defender. And Precious, I think it's a guy that's super aggressive too. It shows on the defensive rebounding side as well. I think he's a guy that is so interesting just by his body and his athleticism that he is worth a shot, because even if you took Anthony Edwards here or someone, like, this team isn't going to change that much. This team isn't a pick away from finally figuring out their core. I think they're still a long ways away. So at least take a shot at a guy. It's not really hurting you, and you're outside of the true stars here at this point. So I think Precious could work his way up if he's able to show a little bit more offensively for this Memphis team. But I think at least wing-wise, he's probably one of the better defenders, and he's great. He's great as an athlete.
I don't even know where to begin.
What don't you like about him?
Be careful making sounds, Dave.
No, what
I hate
what don't you like about him?
I do not like his offensive skill set at all. He only is a slasher. That is his only go-to move. He has absolutely 0% chance of, right now, looks like he has no ability to stretch the floor. His, like you said, his free throw percentage, it just all screams, I can only cut to the rim. And when you're good at that, but you're not good at anything else, his outside defense is okay. He's not a rim protector, though. So, like, he fits in as a 4, but who plays, like, a slasher role and can't help rim protect. So that's where he's losing value for me. His lack of ability to stretch the floor. And that's why I look at this team and I'm like, why not swing for the fences on someone like Jaden McDaniels, who has the ability to be like a next level Brandon Ingram, prospect. Yeah. He's big, he's long, he's skinny, he's got ball handling ability, he's got a good stroke. Like, everything is there for him to keep going, and he has the body to develop defensively. I see him as like, this is a guy who's got all the upside in the world right now.
Who I see Precious kind of becoming is Jabari Parker. Oh. I think he's very similar to Jabari, slashing 4. I think he might be a little bit more aggressive than Jabari is. I think he would turn out to become a better defender than Jabari. Yeah. And Jabari's been able to work on his shot as well. Jabari was a better shooter in college, so I'll give Jabari that, and that was the reason why Jabari was a top 2 pick.
Scorer, yeah.
But I do think Precious, you can always work on your shot. It's something that is fixable. So I don't think we can kill him on that, and I don't think you could truly find athletes like guys like Precious, and with his length and size, I think he is worth a shot. But Jaden McDaniels, definitely not a bad pick. I mean, he's a guy that has that size, that athleticism as well, and does have versatility. Yep. So I don't hate that pick as well. I just think you need to go with a forward, whether that be McDaniels, whether that be Jabari Parker, whether that be Precious. I don't mind either guy.
Yeah, I think the best thing for him has been Wiseman not playing, though. It's kind of weird how that works out, but Wiseman being off the court lets him take more of a role, and they get to use him a little differently. So I think that's been good for him.
Kind of like how with, Wendell Carter and Marvin Bagley, where when Bagley was off the floor, there were some times, or was it the other way around? I can't remember at this point. There was one game against Syracuse where when one of them was off the floor, I think it was Bagley was off the floor. It's like, wow, great. Wendell looks a lot better. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because now he doesn't have to cover up for Bagley's defensive deficiencies, and he can just be himself out there. Yeah. With me, I'm just with Sean. Take the big, where I changed it because of our K-Love discussion, but I love Okongwu from USC. Like, he's just blocking, 9 blocks in a game. Are you kidding me?
Insane level.
Just everything going out from the stratosphere. He'll rebound the ball for you. What?
I don't see that.
You don't?
Okay.
I mean, I know it was one
the blocks are there.
But he's blocking shots, getting boards.
The blocks are there, but also let's look at who it is against. It was against Florida A&M, for Christ's sake.
I know.
He did have 7 blocks against TCU, which was fantastic. But I don't know about the rebounding. I mean, there's games that he's just absolutely disappeared in rebounding-wise. 4, 6, 6, 6, 5, 8. Like, he's had a couple double-digit rebounding games, but I don't think he's going to be that, I don't think he's going to be ever a guy that averages over 10 rebounds a game for you. I don't think he's a game-changing rebounder.
He's obviously not going to be then Andre Drummond.
Yeah, or DeAndre
2020.
Ayton.
Yeah, no, yeah. I
or I don't think he's going to be like a DeAndre Ayton guy who I don't think he's going to be that type of rebounder for you. And I really see his offensive skills as limited. He does not step out beyond the free throw line. He's not setting screens at all. Their offense is very much, they have him playing center and their power forward is the guy that's setting screens, and he's the only guy that's setting screens. I don't know his name. I think he's white, or at least,
I'll look it up.
He's, I think he might be European. I think he's got a beard. But
Max, I can't pronounce that last name. I'll actually go down and play.
No, I think it's, it's Nick. I think it's Nick. Rakovic. Yeah, 6'11".
Nice, good.
But he's been setting their screens mainly. And I haven't seen that from Big O. And that's a big concern for me is if you're going to be a 5, where are you going to be offensively, especially in today's NBA? Because he's just been mainly setting up in the post and trying to seal off guys. And, he was doing a great job against Pepperdine. But, if you're going up against big, great schools and then also big, great bigs in the NBA, like a Joel Embiid, you're going to get your ass eaten out. So, that's bad phrasing.
Nice.
That's horrible phrasing.
I think you were thinking chewed out.
Chewed out.
And then you said eat now.
Yep. That was bad.
Nice. That's a good time to say
on an actual basketball floor, that's not a good place. I'm gonna get off this. I see his offensive skills as limited.
We're getting off this.
He is a limited offensive player, but what he does so well. I think that's why the value is there. He offensively is a great finisher at the rim, and defensively he is active. He is a great blocker. He's got great instincts, and he has active hands. He knows how to fill the lane when he needs to and play off man and kind of help a little.
You know who I think he is?
Who?
I think he's just a more overrated Daniel Gafford. I think that's who he turned.
Gafford,
I think that's who he turned.
The Gaff
yeah,
daddy.
but what happened to Gafford? He was playing great. We all overrated him, and we all had him as a lottery pick. And then he clearly didn't get that promise. He had to go back to college, and then was a second-round pick. I think right now we love 10 games from him, but this kid coming out of nowhere, we got to question who's he playing against, how is he getting these points, and how is he getting these blocks, and who is he getting these blocks against? The TCU game is very, very encouraging.
Yeah,
for
he filled the
for me.
fucking box.
But Florida A&M, come on, guys, and 21 free throw attempts against Pepperdine, that's not gonna happen.
Yep.
You said Harvard?
He whooped up on Harvard.
I was gonna say not Jeremy Lin's Harvard. It's a very different Harvard team now.
Still, I think that the defensive instincts are there, and the fact that he can finish and shoot free throws is why he's so high. If he can continue that against, again, a higher level of competition as the year goes on, then I'll be interested. When he starts playing some different teams in the Pac-12.
Because in the Pac-12, you're going to get, obviously, Arizona's a top 15 team. You've got Washington twice, Oregon twice.
And those are guys too that Washington has Jaden and Stewart. Arizona has a guy that we're going to talk a little about later in Zeke. I'd love to see what he can do against those guys.
Yeah. What about moving right on down
to the Pels?
The Pelicans. We all got Nico Mannion.
Wow.
Why a point guard? Because at first I was not sold on the point guard because I'm like Lonzo. Maybe it's because I like Lonzo.
Yeah, you're the one.
And it's I like Lonzo. They have Drew Holiday. They've got Josh Hart. It's why do we have to go point guard? And Frank Jackson. Yeah. Why do we have to go point guard? But then I'm like, you know what? Yada, yada, yada. Then I moved Nico up.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't yada, yada.
My whole thinking was I originally had Maxey there. But then I thought like I said earlier, the Lonzo, mainly because I saw the game today, just stat sheet. And I'm like, he's got 2 points against Luka or against the Mavericks. And I'm like, yeah, maybe that one big game keeping too high, and I maybe brought Lonzo back down to earth.
If you watch the Pelicans run an offense, it's pretty clear where Lonzo's at. He's the most replaceable guy out there. Yeah. The whole thought with Lonzo Ball, we'll have to wait and see until Zion comes back, because that was the dream. It's the quick run offense. It's the fast breaks. It's if the up momentum works for them.
The flick pass down the court to Zion.
That's the golden image for the Pelicans. And that's the only scenario where he can keep it up. Because shooting-wise, he's been very streaky this year. He's had a couple of great games. He's had a lot of poor games. So I'm looking for a complete point guard. I think Nico Mannion is an amazing fit on this team, and I can imagine him doing pick and rolls with Jackson Hayes out there would be just absolutely perfect. The athleticism of Hayes, Nico Mannion, extremely good.
Yeah.
I think that fit-wise, it's exactly what you're hoping for on this Pelicans team, and it helps build out that roster.
And just Nico as a player, I mean, the kid has no fear.
Yeah.
It's awesome to watch. I mean, he's got
fucking hops, too.
Yeah, he's got hops. He's not afraid. He'll attack the bucket. I love him. Yeah. I think he's going to be a very interesting player. And I think, too, I mean, it's tough to get a gauge because of Zion. And right now we don't know what they need. And if we're just looking at their starting lineup, I don't know if they bring back Lonzo at the end of the year, and that's really what's just going to open up a hole for them. I mean, they have Drew Holiday, they have Zion Williamson, they will have Jackson Hayes in the long term.
Yep.
Other than that, I mean, they can go anywhere, and I think right now you can make an argument for Cole Anthony. He's still on my board. You can make an argument for RJ Hampton. He's on my board. You can make an argument for Jaden McDaniels as well, I think.
They're probably going to re-sign B.I., though. That's sort of the...
I forgot about B.I.
Yeah. So he's an RFA.
Yeah.
Fair,
he's going to come back.
And Lonzo is under contract for one more year. It's Frank Jackson.
No, I think they'll trade him.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think he will be on the team as an. Okay. I don't think they'll.
Another Zach LaVine type thing where it's like, oh, Zach is. Oh, you think he's
just speaking to existence?
Yeah. But so I think a guard just makes the most sense because you're probably going to lose Lonzo. I'll just keep it at that.
The question I'll ask you, Sean, is Maxi's off your board, but he's not for Dave and I. If you're the Pelicans, would you have put Maxey at the Pelicans? Because I almost did. Like, I had him there, and then I switched.
No, I would take the best guard available. Okay. And right now in my mind, I think that is Nico Mannion over Cole Anthony. That could flip by 2.0. It could be Maxey because Cole Anthony starts to show me a little bit more, at least as a finisher in college. So I think, right now, it's just Nico because he's the best guard available.
And the team we love to talk about. We love to talk about this team, guys. They have how many picks again this year? They had, 1 million last year, 2 million the year before. I think they have 1 billion picks this year in the NBA draft. The Boston Celtics. They get this pick because of how our lottery mapped out. Top 6 protected for the Grizzlies.
2 other after this.
And they have their 2 others right now.
28 and 30.
Yep. 28 and 30. So here's what I wanted to do. I originally had them later on too, but I thought if we're talking about them in the first round, let's talk about all 3 picks together and what should be the Celtic draft plan going forward. In the first round, in the 8th pick, Sean had Hayes, I had Denny, Dave also had Hayes. Let's give their pick, the 28 and 30 pick for each of us.
I want to lay this out as this is their draft plan. This is, we're turning off trades in my league.
Yeah.
All we're doing is drafting.
Yeah.
Because in a great scenario, they're moving these picks,
and we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah,
about them possibly
for sure.
trading.
It's tough to make trades with them because of Gordon Hayward's contract, but for them, I have them going with Killian Hayes. I think he's probably the best player available right now on my board. You could make again an argument for Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton, Jaden McDaniels, but I do think that Killian Hayes is a little bit more of a project. You do have your best guard is Kemba Walker, who's a little bit older. I think that Killian Hayes does need some time to fully develop in the NBA, so he could be a little bit of a stopgap, or you need a little bit of a stopgap before Killian Hayes can even take over. So that's Marcus Smart, that's Kemba Walker. So I think that's smart fit-wise, at least for him, and I do think he does have the potential to take over for Kemba once he's a little bit older. And then I went mainly best available at 30. I took Jamias Ramsey, guard out of Texas Tech, and then at 28, you had to address rebounding at some point. So I went Zeke Naji, center out of Arizona. So I was just looking for BPA at 8. Then I went with at 28. You needed rebounding at some point. You needed to address that. I still don't think they have their big on their roster. I don't know if Zeke Naji is that, but it's tough to get one when you're picking that late at 28. And then at 30, I didn't really have anyone that stuck out massively on my board that I thought you could go out and draft, and I thought you just go best player available, and I went Jamias Ramsey.
Yeah.
Dave, what were you thinking with the Celtics?
So start things off. Just I'm gonna go 30 up because I also had Jamias Ramsey there. I mean, he's just had incredible offensive performances. He's he looks like he's got a great offensive kit for them. So could be a fun pick.
The one thing that was a little bit concerning with that too is because I took Carson Edwards.
Yeah.
So it's like you have 2 great scorers there. Carson is both the guys
size
are combo.
Challenged?
Well, he's size challenged. But both guys are also
vertically challenged.
Combo guards as well.
Yeah.
So it's not a perfect fit, but I think he's best player available.
Yeah, it would be a fun pick at the end of the first round. At 28, I got them going Scotty Lewis. I like Scotty's potential. What he's played so far this year, he's had one great game, and everything else has been okay.
Yeah.
He looks like he's an athletic guy you can kind of mold to fit what you need. So I like that as a role that they don't need an answer right now. Again, they have a great starting lineup. They've got a couple interesting pieces behind them that they've drafted that we haven't even seen yet. They're all of their picks from last year play. So I like him as a project piece going forward. And then at number 8, I do have Killian Hayes there because, again, he's uber talented. Even if they don't want to take him like as the point guard of the future of the team, they still take him as someone of value, and then they can move him at some point in the future. But he's just, right now, his potential is there to take, and I am absolutely for it because he's played up.
Yeah, I think best case scenario for them would be best player available.
Yep.
Killian Hayes or whoever you think the best player available is at 8.
Yeah.
And then at 28 or 30, getting a big and then getting a stretch 4. I don't think you were able to do that really, just with the way your board laid out, and I think that's why you have 2 guards going there.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, and I really didn't have that ability either. I do have a little bit of a spoiler. I do have a guy we just talked about, Onyeka Okongwu, going at 29, so they could double up on defense and rebounding at 30. But I think Oneka's going to be a guy that comes back.
Yeah, and for me, I'm going to go top down with Denny at 8. It was just what Sean mentioned earlier with the how he can play with screens. I feel like he can fit with Brad Stevens, and also really the only true 3 they have or on the roster you look at.
He may be a 4.
Is Jaylen Brown.
So yeah,
Jaylen Brown's listed as a 3. You got Hayward's listed as a 2, but are they going to move on from Gordon Hayward?
Their roster,
it's very movable.
I would clump that Brown, Tatum, and Hayward together.
As
They're all
2 through 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I went with Denny. And then later on, it's like, just take 2 bigs. Take the best 2 bigs you can.
Okay.
Kofi Coburn from Illinois. That's a homer pick for me. I fucking love him. Dub machine, can block shots. He can be a guy that can give him offense down low. And then at 30, it was just take the best big available. And Wendell Moore was there because their bigs right now are not very good. I know they added in Enes Kanter. The Time Lord hasn't been what we all thought he would be.
He fell for a reason.
Coming out. Yeah, he fell for a reason. But we
called it.
We all hyped him up going into the draft. What should the Celtics draft plan be, though? Should they look to make trades, make moves, getting these picks out for veterans, moving up in the draft? What should they be looking for?
Ricky, I don't want to waste my time. I value my time.
Sean's just listen to last year.
And listen to the year before that. Listen to the year before that. We've been talking about the Celtics making a trade in the draft year after year after year after year. And then they fucking traded down. That is the thing that we saw. It was a great trade. They moved back, took Tatum, and they...
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about the other time they traded down.
What was the other one?
The Sixers last year.
For Tatum.
No,
that was not last year.
Literally last year.
Oh, Thibault and Grant Williams?
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, and the Carson Edwards deal.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
okay.
you say Sixers and Celtics.
So yeah, the only deals they've made in the draft are moving down. So I'm not wasting my time. They should, but it's also tough because of the Gordon Hayward contract.
Both of them with the Sixers? Right? So if the Sixers want to move up, then sure, the Celtics will make a move.
Yeah, and so far, the Sixers won one and the Celtics won the other.
Yep.
But I mean, with this, it's
they should trade it for veterans. They should get someone who can rebound. They won't.
This may be a dumb question, but I'm asking anyways. Should the Celtics hope that Grizzly pick does not convey to them?
Is it unprotected next year?
It is. I was going to look up what it is next year, but this year for sure, it's the top 6.
I don't know.
I think it conveys to a second.
I think this class is super talented. I would go for it. And there's no way it goes from top 8, top 6 to a second rounder. It's got to be unprotected at that point.
It goes from it's
what trade?
So it's 7.
Awful.
So the Tony Allen trade. I think we asked that every year.
So it's 7 through 30.
Yeah.
Then it's a first rounder next year for sure.
Unprotected.
If not, yeah.
What trade was it?
I'd have to look that up.
Oh, you can't find it?
No,
Okay.
I'm just looking at.
I'll look it up, but
because I mentioned that because there are some of the trades.
The Memphis, the Pelicans, and the Boston trade for Green, Prince, Poindexter, Smith,
Rivers.
Rivers.
Jeff Green trade.
Yes. Wow.
Jeff Green has played for 9 other teams since that trade.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
Yep.
Should they just hope it doesn't convey and just take the pick next year?
Sure. I mean,
because like
Grizzlies aren't going to be good.
Because like it's kind of
might actually.
It's kind of like a debate that we had during the fast break, but different teams obviously. Is the top 10 pick really going to help the Celtics out
this year?
Like going into next year?
It depends. It depends on where it is because
I should say a 7 through 10 pick.
It's top 6 protected, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what if they got 7?
Yep.
And let's just say, the first 6 teams need a guard. If James Wiseman falls to them, they should not trade it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It doesn't matter because I think in the end, the only way it's going to make a complete needle mover for the Celtics is if they get a top 2 player or top 3 player. Yeah. So I don't know.
It's hard to say.
Know. And plus, if they're able to move the Hayward contract at some point, I keep saying that, I feel like a broken record.
I'd say he's only got 1 more year.
Yeah, if they're able
if he takes the option.
There's no way he's not taking that option.
if they move him,
yeah.
What significance does a top 1 pick even have anymore?
Like you mean the number 1 overall pick?
Yeah, but no, but
put Luka on the team. What happens? What do?
I know, but it's just like
Luka
how many times is how much weight does a top 3 pick have anymore?
1 and 2 have the most, or 1 through 3. You're right. I think it has a ton of weight, but I think it depends on the draft class. Each year changes.
But how many guys have come out and hit as stars in the past 5 years?
There's a 50-50.
I'm just questioning, because I'm trying to I feel like it's been. Yes, you can hit
Dave's
a
taking
franchise
it
changer,
and Sean's just like, I'm not.
I get that.
Dave's all pissed off, you motherfucker, you asked this question. They have such a good team, Where do these players play? Because Jaylen Brown's been making me look stupid each time I trash him. Jason Tatum's been playing phenomenally.
So the number 1 pick overall for the last couple of years was Zion, DeAndre Ayton, Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, Cat, Wiggins, Bennett.
Okay, let's do 5 years.
AD.
5 years. So Zion, obviously,
Zion, Ayton.
Zion would have made it.
TBD.
Zion would have made an impact. No, you don't trade the Zion pick.
TBD.
If you added him to the Celtics, he would be perfect because he's injured. But also, he's a rebounding machine.
Yep.
Right? Ayton would be a great fit for them as well, but he was even the wrong pick. Luka was a better player.
Correct.
The Fultz one, they got the best player in that one already, and they needed the 3rd pick. The Simmons one, Ben would help that team because Ben's a good player, but we always question Ben Simmons could be better, and then Cat, So, if you're taking a big, it will work out. But we're looking at these drafts, and we haven't seen massive, bigs outside of the guys that are going number 1. So if they get a top 3 pick, is it going to help them that much?
I think so. I think a top 3 pick is incredibly valuable.
But are they better keeping it, or are they better keeping the player than unless just trading them?
Depends what their timeline is, and I think this all got fucked up by the fact they overachieved. Early in their careers, and the playoff performances were there. And
I just want to clarify too. I'm not saying it's bad to have a top 3 pick.
Okay.
I'm just
it means you're bad at basketball for one.
But. Yeah, but
you're just saying
it means the Grizzlies are bad at basketball if they're getting a top 3 pick.
It's not like the NFL or anything where it's okay, for number 1, it's for sure going to be a hit. Where you brought up, where it's how many years has the it was the number 3 pick done better than the 1st and the 2nd?
Yeah,
pick?
there's you're either going to hit on 1 and 3 or 1 and 2. It's one or the other. It's just weird how it kind of plays out. So that's why I think a top 3 pick, you have the highest chance of hitting in the NBA draft. So that's a 1 through 3 pick is so valuable. Anyway, they should bundle this shit up and get a star. I don't know. Or they should bundle it up and get a top pick in this class in the next class.
Pretty much any way it should happen. If they're getting a star, it works out.
Yep.
And I think right now, you're not getting a full-fledged star at 8. So hoping for it to go over to next year isn't the worst.
Agreed. Again,
but then I don't know.
All these roster spots are for kids. You've got no veterans to help provide depth. You got Kemba Walker and you've got Enes Kanter.
Yeah, but then I don't know.
Marcus Smart's a sort of a veteran. I guess.
But then I don't know if
he's gone after this.
But then again, I don't know if next year, let's say that it becomes it doesn't transfer this year, and they're going into next year with an unprotected Grizzly pick. When do you trade it? Do you trade it when you know the position, or do you trade it before?
Yeah, that's tough.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny that we haven't even seen their top pick from this class from their last draft.
Yeah, Romeo
hasn't played.
Yeah,
come on.
And neither is Taco Fall, and neither is Carson Edwards.
Were you high on Romeo or not high on Romeo? I can't remember. Or you started high, then got low, or started low, got high?
Yeah, you clearly do not remember my way too early, where I had him number 1.
Okay. I didn't remember, which I knew.
Has Carson played?
I knew it was
Carson's been playing.
Dip.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it was it changed
well.
how you were at the beginning.
I'm sorry. Romeo had 14 seconds, according to Spot Rack, Basketball Reference. 14 seconds in that Milwaukee win.
What about the next team, the Hornets? Because this is one where probably the first time in this mock draft we've all had different picks. Sean has Cole Anthony really far down. I've got Tyreke Maxey. Sean's saying really far down. And then Dave's got Big O.
Yeah. I look at this Hornets team, and I love the fact that Devontae Graham is the guy. That's great for them.
Stop it.
I can play with that all day, man. Rozier as a 2 guard is fine. It's not ideal, but it's fine. He's under contract, so you're stuck with him, kind of. You got some interesting guys in between, but I look at that and I go, all right, you're gonna need a big down low to bang, and I love the defensive effort, the presence down low that he can bring. He can be a finisher at the rim. Like I said, he's a rim runner who has great defensive instincts. Like, that's why he's there.
Here's the thing. I know everyone loves Devontae Graham. The 24 games that he's played has been fantastic.
Yeah.
No one thought he was going to happen for a second-round pick.
Yeah.
He's 24 years old.
Yep.
He started 17 games.
Yep.
I just want to make sure my numbers are right.
Yeah.
And right now he's shooting 39% from 2. Like, are we sure this is going to keep up?
I think he can get better.
Huh?
I think he can get better.
He can get better, but also you don't think that this could just be an anomaly, that he's playing on a bad team?
No.
Like, why are you sold that this is Devontae Graham's year, that the Devontae Graham's now the next star in Charlotte?
I mean, he's their best player.
That's not saying much. This team sucks.
Kemba Walker was their best player last year. That's not saying much. The team sucks. See what that does?
Okay, Kemba Walker.
See what that does?
Okay, did Kemba Walker play 17 games? Like going into last year, was Kemba Walker starting 17 games in his career? No, he was their all-time franchise leader in scoring. It's different when one guy has played 46 games going into that year, Dave.
I get the track record's not there. I'm just saying the product on the court right now makes me believe that you have a very good point guard who, yes, he's a little bit on the older end of a rookie, or of a rookie deal.
It's been a great story.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the best, but right now I am skeptical about his first 24 games.
Solid court vision, great passing. He's a decent rebounder for his size, and he's got a good stroke. Like,
did you know who Devontae Graham was before this year?
Yes, I did, actually.
Okay. I don't think
I did.
Can we go back and check the 2018 mocks? Because we had them. Where did Dave have? Was Dave in love with Devontae Graham in his 2018 mocks? Like, that's the thing. Is like, he's played... Let's give him more than half a season, a quarter of a season. I just think that right now with the Hornets, they have Terry Rozier, they have Devontae Graham, but I would rather take a shot at Cole Anthony. He's fallen so far here. I think this is where his fall stops. Stay in North Carolina where you are, Charlotte. Stay with the Jordan brand. I think Cole Anthony has the ability to be a good scorer in the league. He is very fast.
Who can't shoot as well. You're saying so the guy with shooting concerns, and you're replacing the guy who you think has shooting concerns.
What do you mean?
Like, your knock on Cole Anthony was his shooting percentages, yeah?
No, my knock on him was that I'm concerned about him as a finisher. But he's played 8 games, which is less than Devontae Graham.
True.
And he's also 18, and Devontae Graham's 24.
Gotcha.
So I'll take the kid that's 6 years younger and with much room to grow than Devontae Graham. That's all. I mean, I don't think it's that hot of a take there that I think Cole Anthony's worth the gamble.
I still can't believe he's on your board. That's my big surprise.
Yeah, so I mean, he could have gone over Nico or Killian Hayes, but I think that Cole Anthony's at least slide stops here.
Okay.
So at the end of the year, this was the 6.0.
It's a two-rounder. Did I have him even on the board?
So Sean had him at 43 to the Pistons.
Not
Boom.
bad.
I had him at 54 to the Mavs.
Dave had him going undrafted.
Dave didn't even have him in the 2 rounds.
I told you. He's an older player out of Kansas. Like, I don't care about those.
I had him going 43.
To be honest, though.
I had him going 43. And here's you want to know something?
He went 43.
No,
he didn't.
I'm stupid all the time. I always flip numbers. He went 34. So he went 34 and 43. Yeah. I just flipped the numbers, guys.
Let's be honest,
my
Dave
on
had
that.
5 spots of fictional people or non-NBA people.
That's very true.
That he could have taken a spot.
That was that year.
That's where he started that.
Serious
Dave said,
draft
"Fuck the
analyst
second round."
Dave Oster, who only gives you 55 picks.
I was seeing if anyone was paying attention the fact that I drafted a politician from Greece. That's all.
Was it Greece or Czechoslovakia?
Oh, you're right. It was Czechoslovakia. Yeah. I did.
That country doesn't even exist.
I know. Whatever. I don't know where it was from.
Czech Republic and Slovakia now. They've split up, guys.
It was from somewhere, man. That's how old we are.
I know, I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is I did make up fictional picks. But again, he was a 4-year player in college at Kansas. He was a solid player, but at that point, it's like most people in the second round are like, hey, don't draft me.
Okay. Are you sold on Malcolm Brogdon yet? I don't think you are. And this guy has had... Like you were.
You don't think I'm sold on the 50, 40, 90?
No, but you were always like, oh, he can't be a number one on a team or a number two on a team.
Number one on a
okay,
team.
but you're sold on Devonta Graham after 46 games, but Malcolm Brogdon has done this over 3 straight consecutive years and has done this more often than Devonta Graham. But you're sold on Devonta Graham.
Devonta Graham's the number one on a team? No, I'm saying that Devonta Graham's the best player on a shit team.
Okay, but
there's a difference.
Who would be better on a team, Malcolm Brogdon or Devonta Graham?
50, 40, 90. I don't know. Maybe that guy.
Okay, but my point is like
how you're looking
you've been down on 4-year players before,
correct?
And guys that have more proven.
But you know the nice thing about 4-year
before.
players is they're already good when they hit the league. You don't have to have that development time. They can contribute right away. The problem when we're drafting 18-year-old, 19-year-olds is you're paying for them by the time they're getting good. So that's one of the hangups with the NBA is front offices are always reaching for the highest potential guys. Sometimes you got to reach on a guy who has higher potential rather than a 4-year player. Like Cassius Winston is a better player than a lot of the guys I have in the second half of this first round. Mm-hmm. He won't get drafted in the 15 to 20 range. Most likely not even the 20 to 25 range in this year. But you know what? He's a better player than everybody there. Yeah. But he has no potential. He's no upside. He is who he is. Yeah. He's a very polished player, and that's not a bad thing. It's just that's the nature of the business when it comes to the NBA draft.
Do you think he gets drafted? Is he a second round guy for sure? You think Winston?
Oh, he's getting drafted.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a matter of how high up he is.
Yeah,
his player right now is insane.
Like, I wanted to put him in the first round. I'm with Dave. I'm just concerned about his actual age.
Is he going to be a Carson Edwards type player where it's like really good college, second rounder?
A better NBA pro than Carson Edwards will be.
Yeah, I mean he's a more complete player. It's not even question.
His age and athleticism worries me a little bit. He's not the quickest of feet, but he could be like Malcolm Brogdon. Who people sleep on him too much. I think he'll be in our first round come the end of the year, but right now it's just like it's tough.
Everybody wants to talk about young names,
stuff.
And that's the thing is it's all potential. So am I saying he's better than Cole Anthony or anything? No, I'm just saying like. He's your shining hope of like here's upside right now on a great deal, so why not be happy with that? And if Cole Anthony was on my board, I absolutely would take him. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to fill out the roster as it's constructed today, and that's who I would add in because I look at their 5 and I think that they're lacking. And going for it, there's a lot of money spent there this year, which is just hilarious because that's the Hornets in a
Biyombo.
Bismack Biyombo is whatever. So yeah, I'm trying to solve their problem for tomorrow with today's roster. And maybe that's on me. Maybe I need a different perspective. But right now on my board, I would rather go with a big to fill out that rim running role.
And then let's end.
I haven't seen Big O be a rim runner yet.
I think that's where he translates the NBA level. Because his college team is not running him that way. But I think that's what his role will be in
You'd
the
have
NBA.
to think that they're not running him that way in a reason, though.
Because USC's coaching and their current personnel dictates X. Like, we've seen guys in college not play their style. Cat didn't play like an offensive stretch 5 in college. He played, weirdly enough, his defense was what stood out for a lot of his time in college. Yeah. So the college vision is, here's a sample of what they could be, but you don't always see what the player actually is and what they'll translate to.
Fair.
Last team, the Kangs. They are in the top 10.
Are they going to Kang it up?
And this is a pick where Sean had guard, I have guard, Dave has forward.
I got 2-3. So
he's listed as a guard on most draft places.
Yeah, but like I don't want to put Hampton in that box because I think he's going to be similar to. They're going to lose Bogdanovich this year.
Yeah,
and I think that's literally who he is. Like I think they're similar players. Hampton's a little bit more athletic, I think.
I would agree.
I think Bogdan's better ball handler and passer, but I think they're going to fit similar roles. And also, I think too he could end up, if they do re-sign Bogdan, they could possibly move away from Harrison Barnes. They did just re-sign him, so I think that's highly unlikely. But I think he could even play the role of a 3 as well. So I think he fits that role though. He's going to be a wing for them, and I think he's going to be a guy that fits in naturally with this team. So I think it was a pretty easy slide in there for the Kings and RJ Hampton.
And value-wise, I love Hampton. I think that he can run their second unit without a doubt. And again, he's someone who has the upside that, hey, if you guys end up having to move on from someone in that starting group or someone goes down, he's not going to be able to provide the same amazing shooting that Buddy Hield is. Yeah. But he can come into a starting lineup, and I think he'll be able to cover well enough. So I love the idea of Hampton if he's there for value. I went with Denny, and even then I was like, I don't know. I feel like then the Kings are gonna swerve me again. Like, we had them for the longest time. Think about it. They've got a European guy in the front office. Let's take the Euro. Nah, we're good with that. I could see them taking Obi Toppin here. I love Obi.
Do the Kings hate European players? ?
If they're going to move on from Bogdanovich, it's starting to seem that way, right, guys?
Over with Europe.
Right? What's going on, Vlade? We need to talk. But no, I'm taking Denny here. Again, I hit this earlier. It's just he's struggled as of late. Is this who he's going to be? I don't know. The other thing that I love people on Reddit bring up is just the fact that, hey, how much of a rub is he getting from Luka's success? And we've seen this KP success led into somebody else, and then they bombed. So it's just a question of, like, is this just hyping up a Euro to be a Euro?
Yeah, but new name, Josh Green. What's up?
Yeah, with Josh Green, it's more of, first off, what you were thinking. Bogdan's not going to be there.
Yeah.
What 2 guards are there? And Josh Green, to me, he's not... Yeah, he's putting up about 13 points per game in college right now. Small sample size, because obviously they're all small sample sizes right now.
Yeah.
But his defense. I feel like he can add defense and rebounding to this team to where we already see in Arizona what he can do next to a guard that is heavily ball handled and a scorer. Buddy Hield can be, although Buddy Hield's not the exact same thing as Nico Mannion, like Josh Green doesn't need the ball in his hands. Hey, buddy, you run the offense. Hey, De'Aaron Fox,
I was going to say,
you run the offense.
I was about to say, who the hell are you talking
both
about?
of them. They have both 2 scoring guards.
De'Aaron Fox is a point guard. He's a true point guard. He's like the truest point guard.
De'Aaron Fox is that primary ball handler.
But they have like 2 guys that can run the offense.
Okay.
Hey, I don't need another one. Let me get a guy that can add defense, add some rebounding to this team in Josh Green. Hey,
I know where you're trying to go with this. It was just the way you laid it out.
During the Bulls game, I forgot about De'Aaron Fox until Stacey King brought him up and went, oh, I haven't seen him out there on the court. That's why. Like, because how many Kings games am I watching this year? Unless we had one for a watch-along that I missed.
No, the Kings have been struggling out the games. But whatever.
1 through 10.
I like Josh Green. I think he's a good prospect, and he fits a great role on that Arizona team. So him going to the Kings, where, again, he doesn't have to be the guy. He's a great contributing piece, and I think that...
and we'll talk about him later, too, because you have the team we're talking about in segment 2, you have him going to. So we could talk about it a little bit more there.
The thing I was going to slide in, Sean, you mentioned it. We'll end every 1 through 10 with this. Give me one guy you have in your top 10 that you think will probably not be there in the 2.0 when we get to February.
In the 2.0?
Yes, when we get to February. So the next time we do a draft,
that's a long time out.
Do you think that this person, our next draft is going to be the Valentine's Day, right after Valentine's Day that weekend will be our 2.0. Who do you think has the biggest possibility of falling out of your top 10?
I got 2 candidates, but I'm not going to be Ricky Widmer. I'm going to answer your question. I will say Denny Avdia because that's what I said earlier.
Okay.
Other guy, Precious.
All right. Dave, what about you?
Probably Big O. I think that his early season success, like Sean brought up, is perhaps predicated on the lack of competition, the lack of serious bigs that he's gone up against that are going to be NBA quality. So I'd love to see him against that later as the season goes, but that's also a chance that he could fall.
I'm going to go with the guy I last had, Josh Green. Big O possibly could, but the Cavs are going to be an interesting one to where they go. But Josh Green right now is the for sure one I think will not be there because he's only there because the Kings are drafting at 10. This is where you guys... Oh, before that, I had one last thing to pull up. I know the segment's long.
75 minutes.
It's because of what you mentioned earlier. You mentioned how... Points. how this is a 1.0.
Sean should be hosting the mock draft.
Well, no. It's just like you mentioned earlier. The 1.0 is kind of a sticking ground.
Yeah.
I have some fun facts from last year's.
I love it.
Number one, the biggest one, only one person had Kobe White in the first round, 1.0. And that was Dave.
Nice.
Dave had him at number 19 to the Pistons.
Yeah.
Also,
I
Sean and me had Cam Reddish number 2. How's that looking? Oof. You also, Sean, had Bol at 3. Like,
I believe that right here, Sean.
How things play out. Also, the guy who was the highest on Ja Morant didn't have Ja Morant the highest. Sean did.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's what I do, though. I'm afraid to put people too high.
I also had Charles Bassey at 14 and Lewis King at 12 and Quentin Grimes at 13.
Grimy.
Yeah. Some guys.
Also, Charles Bassey has a chance this year to go in the first round.
Looking back. So, just some things that are like, and I didn't even have Jackson Hayes in my first round.
Charles Bassey is Big O. That's what it was. That's better comparison than Daniel Gafford. Charles Bassey couldn't set a pick last year. I can't end the segment.
This is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below.